I just want to let you know that. So,
Yeah, I appreciate it.
all right, very good. All right, so here's if there's anything else you'd like to share. If not, I'm gonna. There's an interesting question here. Can a carnivore diet help with PLS? So I'd look it up. PLS. If I don't know what that means, but my search says PLS is a motor neuron disease. It stands for primary lateral sclerosis, a neurological disorder that causes progressive degeneration of the upper motor neurons, leading to muscle weakness and stiffness. So I don't have a direct answer for that. However, uh, the carnivore diet helps with all kinds of ailments, including MS. I have friends who have multiple sclerosis. This is primary lateral sclerosis, who have had their symptoms alleviated by a considerable degree using a carnivore diet. And the way that works is obviously the clean diet reduces inflammation in your body. And when the inflammation goes down, it affords your body an opportunity to either heal or just feel better. So is anybody familiar with PLS? I never heard of it
Never heard
before
of it.
tonight.
No.
Yeah.
I've heard of it, but I don't know anybody who's
Yeah.
had it.
Yeah. So can it help? I don't know.
I don't think it can hurt. I think, like you
it
said,
certainly can't hurt. Would it be worth a
helps
try?
lower inflammation. Yeah.
Yeah, I think so.
Yes, as my old granny used to say, you know, in her best Jewish voice, couldn't hoik.
Right.
Of course, she was talking about chicken soup. You know,
Yeah. So it wouldn't hurt at all. So definitely give it a try. And in your case, the longer you can try it, I think the better. So, you know, they always say at least do it for 30. I say try and do it for 90.
90,
You know,
yeah.
60 for sure. I think 90 days minimum, you know, try the carnivore diet and see if you don't feel better or notice any improvements. And then, you know, and then if you do, then report back, because we'd love to hear it, you know, if that's the case. So John Together Strong is here, and we shared a link. I shared the link, so it's clickable. This should be coming up shortly here. And then Scooby the Dog, here we come with myths now. Okay, Coach Angela Mullins and Papa Carnivore said the same one. Myth: you have to eat your vegetables. Papa Carnivore says you have to eat your fruits and vegetables, whole grains, and fiber to be healthy. So we'll start with that myth.
I'd be scared right now to eat store-bought and fruits and vegetables after the explosive diarrhea and stuff.
Right?
Yeah, so there is a recall on a lot of. I can't remember what it is because I don't eat it, like, you know, kale and stuff like that. But that's how it's being transmitted.
It's called
this parasite.
Cyclospora.
Yeah, that's the name of the parasite that's giving you incredible, potent diarrhea, and so that there's a, you know, obviously right now that could, eating your fruits and vegetables could be unhealthy if it happens to carry that strain. But fruits and vegetables themselves, you know, aren't necessarily unhealthy, but you don't have to eat them to be healthy. So I'm 3 years mostly carnivore. I don't eat fruits and vegetables on the regular at all. Someone like Jeff, I think, is 3 years vegetable free, you know. So, and then I think John Laspina also is multiple years, hasn't even touched a fruit or a vegetable in a while. So, and then of course we know others in the community who have gone even longer, you know, even decades, you know, eating just an animal-based diet, a carnivore-centric diet, and they haven't touched a fruit or vegetable in eons, and they are healthy as can be. So that is definitely a myth. Now, why is it a myth? Who wants to tackle that?
well, I'll just put my 2 cents in on that. They how do I say this? Okay, so they like to tell you about all these vitamins and these nutrients that are in vegetables and fruits, and that's fine. They do have them, but the question and the key is: are they bioavailable to the human body? Yeah, they're there, but we can't get them. We can't extract them. Ruminant animals having 4-chambered stomachs can break this down, and their bacteria can break down the nutrients and the fatty acids that they need for survival. Our gut doesn't do that. So, because we're not ruminant. And so we can't break those down to where we can get the nutrients out of the fruits and vegetables. We can get a little bit, but not much. And the thing is, you can kind of see that we don't break it down by looking at the other end when it comes out.
Mm-hmm.
Because, and those with colostomy bags can show you that the food comes out the same way it went in, which shows it's not being broke down. Meats, on the other hand, are bioavailable. We can break them down to the nth degree. We can extract everything out of them, and meat has every essential nutrients that we need to sustain life. And going back to those who have colostomy bags, they see very little discharge in their bags when they eat meat, which means our body is absorbing everything there. So that's why that is a myth.
And similarly to what Jeff was just saying around the nutrients, they never talk about the bad things, and this goes back to John's channel and how
Yes.
the toxic elements of plants is never spoken about, never. And that's it's the the other side of the same coin. They'd say it's nutrient dense and has all these minerals, stuff like that, but they never speak about the toxic things. Go ahead, Kelly. I'm sorry.
Oh, I was going to add to that just an example where they say, "Oh, we get our vitamin A through carrots." Well, here's the thing about carrots: it goes to beta carotene that has to be converted to retinol. When you eat meat, you get the retinol straightly from the meat, so you don't have to convert it over.
Yeah. So that's very good. So, fruits and vegetables, are there nutrients in them that you can get? Yes. There are obstacles. There's anti-nutrients. There's the toxin load that comes with it, and the reason why that this whole idea that eating meat is or eating only meat is healthy and you don't have to eat the fruit and vegetables is because everything that the human body needs to survive and thrive you can get from meat, but you actually can't get everything you need to survive and thrive from plants. So there are vegans and vegetarians that they eat a plant-based diet. Some of them live to an old age, but you can't do it without supplementation. So like B12 is the famous example that we can cite, and there are others too. They have to supplement it. So you go back a couple hundred years, there really was no such thing as veganism as we think about it today, because it was not possible. You would die from malnutrition. It's possible today because of modern technology and the supplement industry. So but that's what it really comes down to. Everything you need to live is available in the meat. So, and there's nothing that from plants that you actually need. You can survive just fine without them. So that's which is pretty interesting when you learn that from a scientific point of view. Oh, where are we here? Here we go. Dr. Nelson's, here's a myth. Red meat is inflammatory.
And what's funny about that is one of the very first things us carnivores notice after we've been, eating meat for just a couple of weeks. I mean, just for a couple of weeks. The first thing we notice is our inflammation going down. I mean, that's like the very first thing. And it's an amazing feeling. I like to tell how where I used to live, my mailbox was 100 yards from my house. I couldn't walk to my mailbox and back. My back was in such bad shape. I couldn't walk to my mailbox and back to the house without taking a walking stick with me for support. And within a couple of weeks, I couldn't believe it. I could walk down to my mailbox and back.
Wow.
And I've got a very bad back. I mean, it bothers me. It will always bother me. I have a protruding compressed disc, and hurt it a couple of months ago, and was down for a week because of it. But the inflammation has reduced so much. Within a month, I was walking a mile for exercise, and within 3 months, I was knocking out 3 miles for exercise 3 times a week. I can now easily go knock out 5 miles with no support, no issue, and I can do it briskly. And that's still with a back that bothers me, but the inflammation is so much less. And one of the amazing things I came across was, all right, I was a mechanic for 41 years, an aircraft mechanic, and in the last 5 years of my career, I had trouble holding on to my tools because I couldn't close my hand any more than this. And so, it was difficult for me. And within a month of being a carnivore, I can do this now. The inflammation has reduced so much. I still have some soreness from the arthritis. I still have some stiffness, but I couldn't make a fist 3 years ago. And now I can. So that myth right there, that's the first one that goes right out the window.
I concur. I'm just like you, Jeff. I had lower back issues that were crippling me.
Right.
And that is my weakest link in my entire body. Whenever inflammation strikes, it goes right to my lower back.
Yep.
And meat is meat is non-inflammatory. We need appropriate inflammation. Dr. Nelson will tell you, we all have it for when we bump our elbow, we get a cut, we get a wound. We need a little bit of normal inflammation that we get. But then we need to put on the brakes and stop that inflammation once the healing has occurred. And when we eat seed oils and chronic excessive carbohydrates and sugar over a long period of time, then we have inappropriate inflammation and it doesn't stop. And that's when your weak parts start acting up, your joints. Mine was my lower back too. So you were telling that story, I was just nodding my head. I know that pain. Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah, I did the lion diet for 30 days in June, and if it's supposed to be pro-inflammatory, why am I walking pretty good on a bad hip joint?
There you go.
Yeah, and I'm a tile setter by trade, and so you got to a point where my ankles, my knees, my back. I mean, I had aches and pains in my wrists and everything, and all of that has gone away since starting my carnivore journey. So, I'm sure taking the weight off has helped a lot of that. I'm down 60 pounds, but the inflammation is definitely something that's come a long way. And what's neat about inflammation is you can actually measure that. So you can go get a blood test, and check your inflammation markers, and then do 90 days of carnivore. And go get your blood test again, and you can actually see those inflammation markers will have improved because you ate a diet of red meat. So yeah, the whole red meat is inflammatory thing is definitely a myth. All right, very good. Scooby the Dog says my dad and his girlfriend are 88 and 90, and they are very active and eat a mixed diet. They don't eat too much though. They aren't overweight and they exercise a lot. And I think those things are key. Those things are definitely key. Yeah. So remember, on this channel, I will not diss you for being an omnivore. I will not diss you for being a vegan. So, we're not anti-plant on this channel. I'm a student of Dr. Berry. The proper human diet is a spectrum of 0 carb carnivore on one end, up to maybe 100 carbs of single ingredient whole foods on the other end, depending on your personal physiology, where you function best. That's going to vary for individual to individual. Just happens to be that the bulk of our audience does better at the 0 to low carb end of the spectrum. So that's because most of us were overweight, diabetic, and that's what we needed to do to solve our metabolic issues.
Yeah, we didn't have the discipline to eat like you, Lily. We ate junk food all the time.
We couldn't eat half a piece of toast. We had to eat the whole loaf of bread.
Yeah.
So,
Well, there was a time in my life when I was poor. I mean, real poor. And I was so poor that I'd read recipes, just for my dinner, because I couldn't eat them. I just read them. But no, there was a time when I'd go to the day old bread store and I'd buy a loaf of bread and that would be my supper. That's what I would eat, just practically the whole loaf. And big time junk food addict, big time sugar addict, and it wrecked my body. And because it wrecked my body, I had to make changes in my life. And when you're an addict, I don't care what kind of addict you are, you've got to abstain from whatever it is that's killing you, whether it's drugs, alcohol, or in my case, food. And so that's what I did to heal myself. And it healed so many things in me that I will never go back to eating the way I did before. Because if I did, I'd just kill myself. I would just eat myself to death again. I don't ever want to go back to that lifestyle. Will I ever live as long as you? I don't know, because I'm not guaranteed tomorrow. Nobody is. But the difference is I will live a quality of life that I didn't have, 20, 30 years ago. And this has just been a wonderful thing for me. And most of us can attest to the same thing. We've healed so much in our bodies eating this way, because all we did before was eat bad. I envy people like you who have ate good all their lives and can eat a variety. You're blessed to be able to do that.
All right, very good. I like this comment here by Black Box Warning. Usually on Carnivore, you don't have to even check your inflammation markers. Most people can just look in the mirror and see the inflammation decrease. It's usually obvious for many, at least. And you're also going to feel it in your bones, so to speak. You're just going to feel a lot better, because the aches and pains, even if they don't go away, they get more manageable, because the inflammation goes down. So, all right, very good. Where was that one?
Bob, while you're looking for the next
I'll star
question,
that, mark my spot. Go ahead.
What did you respond to that with? You said your mom?
Oh, my mother was a great cook. And she always had 3 meals a day for us, but it was always good.
Mm-hmm.
So.
Yeah.
Yeah, my mother was a great cook too. I loved eating everything she fixed, and she fixed good food. She fixed good food. But as soon as I started making my own money, what was I doing? I was buying the 32-ounce soda pops, down at the ice house, every chance I got, eating chips all the time, as soon as I got money and moved out on my own, and went in the service, Katie barred the door. I could eat whatever I wanted then. And of course, back then I was bulletproof. I could eat anything I wanted. I was active. I was fit. I was young,
Catches up to you though, doesn't it? All of us were bulletproof when we were younger.
Got up to me like a freight train.
Yeah.
Yeah. When I was 20, it was beer and ramen noodles.
Oh, right.
Yeah.
College.
Desiree,
A lot of
can't
ramen.
yourself fortunate to have found this at a young enough age that you can head off all the elements that we've got.
Yeah.
And teach my children.
Yes, absolutely. Absolutely.
That's why I'm here. I am childless, except for the dog who's snoring, by the way. So if you can hear him, I apologize.
I don't hear him. No,
He's really giving her a heck in that living room.
Yeah, I was 66 before I started this. So I started way late in life. But
Better
I
late
hate
than
the
never.
young people that come in here and get started on that. It's like I wished I'd have had that. If I'd have known about this and had the discipline
Right.
to do it, because that's the problem when you think you're healthy, when especially when you're young, you think you're bulletproof. And sometimes you got to get knocked down a few times before you find out you ain't.
A lot of us come to this after a traumatic event, after something really bad, and they get the sense knocked into them, and they're like, I got to change my diet. Yeah.
And mine was I was an AFibber.
Yeah.
And I'd had AFib for 4 or 5 years, and I'd even had a cardiac ablation. And I was a paroxysmal AFibber, And so I wasn't in AFib all the time.
Mm-hmm.
But when I went into AFib, it would put me in the ICU. I'd have to go to the emergency room because I couldn't I couldn't breathe.
Yeah.
I couldn't sit up without passing out. It was I passed out in the emergency room parking lot trying to get to the front door, and I couldn't do it. And a year after my atrial or after my cardiac ablation, I'm having another severe attack, and I'm laying on a gurney in the emergency room. Team of doctors and nurses working on me, trying to get me back in rhythm. And my wife stroking my shoulder to comfort me. And I turned to her, and I had tears streaming down my face. And I just told her, I said, I'm through. I can't take this anymore. And I knew something had to change, and then it was a couple of weeks later, my son introduced me to Carnivore, and I haven't looked back. And I am now off of all my heart medications. I don't have any more issues. I've had one mild attack since I went Carnivore, and that's it.
Good for you.
Yep.
Very nice.
I got to get going here. But
All right,
I
John.
wanted to join you for the hour.
All right.
Thanks, John. Thanks
Good
for
to see
Bye,
you
John.
guys.
Good seeing
Yeah,
you.
thanks for
Thank
stopping
you,
by.
John.
Take
Have
care,
a great
everyone.
evening.
Thanks.
Stay cool.
All right. Desiree, you see that? I put that up there so you wouldn't miss it. Question for you.
Yeah.
Would you like to
Yes.
do a monthly series for recipe oriented there?
So
Contact Jerry privately. Yeah.
yes. So I already did a recording just in case I would get like tagged.
Mhm.
Nobody's asked me yet, but I did in your video when you asked for people, I made a whole comment. And then today I went to look because I was like, man, why isn't Jerry like reaching out to me? And I went and looked, and that comment's gone. So I don't know what happened to it. So thank you for saying something. Yes, I will. We're going to jump off here because I'm getting like a lag. So it's better if we just listen versus being on the panel. But anyway, I'm going to jump off. And then, yes, Jerry, I will text you. I do have something that you can use whenever you need it. So I think you said Wednesday. Is that tomorrow? No, that's in 2 days. So anyway.
This is Monday.
This is Monday. Thank you. This is Monday, she says.
She's right.
So I'll tell you what, while I'm yapping, we're just going to jump off the panel and probably still like listen in and see how you guys are doing. So Kelly, it's great to see you. Lewis, it's great
Great
to
to
see
see you too.
Lewis, I never emailed you because I never got your email. So, but it's it was like no big deal. I was just going to ask you something about nutrition for cats. But we can chat another time.
I wish
So,
I was more of an expert in that topic, but
yeah.
yeah. If
There
you
you
go, my email is my first initial and my last name at gmail.com.
Oh, well, that's easy.
So
Okay.
L
So I'll
Lotito at
just, okay. I'll just email you just so we
yeah,
have each
just
other.
say hello. Yeah,
Okay. So llatito@gmail.com.
at Gmail. Yeah, no number,
Perfect.
one only.
Okay, cool. All right, Jeff,
All right.
always great to see you. You look younger every time, I swear. And Bob,
Well, that's sweet of you.
and Bob, you
All right.
are you're excellent at this, Bob. You really are. You do
He
a
is.
wonderful job making sure everybody gets equal time on the panel, and you ask really great questions, and you do so good with the chat questions too. So I just wanted to give you kudos for that. I always enjoy Monday nights. So
All right. Well, thank you very much, Desiree. You have a good night. And it was nice meeting you, Aunt Lily. Or
Yeah.
Lillian.
It's a pleasure.
So, all right. Thanks for
You're a rock star.
participating. Have a good night. All right. Very nice. Here comes a myth. You need fiber.
Yep.
Yeah. Yeah.
So you don't need fiber. And again, if you're not eating plants, guess how much fiber you're getting? 0. And there's some of us who have not had plants in years and years and years. Now, they say you need fiber so you can go number 2.
Mm-hmm.
I used to have ulcerative colitis. So this is one of my major non-scale victories that I'm very proud of. I've found out what my triggers were by an elimination diet, which the carnivore diet is, and my ulcerative colitis symptoms went away. I'm off of medication, and I do not have an issue with my stools anymore, which required me to take medication. So I function 100% better without fiber in my diet. So, and that's proven to be true for a lot of people. So mine was ulcerative colitis. Jeff had Crohn's, which is similar, and other people have had other kinds of irritable bowel syndromes. And it's fibers. There's actually studies, scientific studies you can look up on PubMed.gov that they've done that shows that there's people actually felt better by reducing their fiber intake versus increasing their fiber intake. So fiber can be an irritant to the gut of sensitive people, and it was for me.
Isn't a low or no fiber diet what they recommend for people that are having gastro issues or?
Nope. What my gastroenterologist put me on an almost straight grain diet. She
Like
said-
when there's flares going on, don't they make you like? Don't
Oh,
they
she's-
usually recommend like?
Well, I was having a flare every day. I mean, my day would start off in the morning. I'd drink my first cup of coffee, and I would spend the next 4 hours curled up into a ball in pain, as if Freddy Krueger was doing the iron claw on my stomach. It hurt so bad. And then I would spend the rest of the day back and forth to the bathroom, because I'd have severe diarrhea. And this was going on for years. And gastroenterologist put me on a straight grain diet and told me to cut the coffee. And all it did was make it worse. And back then I was growing a vegetable. I did eat some vegetables, but mainly it was just a straight grain diet. And I did that for several months, and it was just killing me. And here was the beauty of it is when I went carnivore, in 30 days, all my symptoms from Crohn's were gone. Went in to see my gastroenterologist because I had an appointment. She says, "So how you doing?" I says, "I am doing great. I do believe my Crohn's is reversed. I no longer have an issue. I'm not having any symptoms." And she says, "So the diet I've got you on is working?" I said, "Oh no, ma'am. The diet you had me on was killing me. I went the opposite direction. I'm eating nothing but straight meat, salt, and water now, and my Crohn's is gone." And she got real hoity-toity with me, and she says, "Well, I guess you just don't need me anymore then, do you?" And I said, "No, ma'am, I don't. Thank you very much. Have a nice day."
All right. Similar, sticking with the fiber thing, carnivores are constantly constipated because fiber is required for stool flow. This is another myth, by the way. Not true whatsoever.
It's a myth, but I am constantly constipated.
So,
But that's just, that goes back to my IBS. I don't believe that I'm 100% over my IBS because I still ebb and flow between constipation and loose stools. But it is 85% better than it used to be. But I do deal more with constipation than I do anything else these days. And so I do have to take a magnesium supplement to help me with that. But I would get that without carnivore. I would get that when I was eating plenty of fiber. It didn't matter. The fiber didn't do a thing for me other than tear up my gut. And I'm one of the rare ones. And to add to that, I don't have a gallbladder. I haven't had a gallbladder since 97. So that's contributing to my issue.
yeah, that's which is it's an interesting case, because you would think that your situation would be the opposite.
Yeah.
That the lack of the gallbladder plus the high-fat diet would equal a chronic case of loose stools all the time, but you experience the opposite, which is kind of an anomaly that I can't even really figure it out. So
yeah, I can't either. And I drink anywhere from, I drink anywhere from 80 to 100 ounces of water a day. I mean, this tumbler, this is my sidekick. And it's 20-ounce tumbler. I'll drink at least 4 of these a day and sometimes more. And I generally go through about a stick of butter a day because I eat butter with my meats. I love it. Just flat love it. And
Jeff, do you salt your water or put
Oh, yes.
electrolytes?
yes, I use at least 2 of my fill-ups. I'll put 3 or 4 drops of Lugol's in there along with salt. I put salt in just about every time I drink.
Yeah, me too.
And I choose the fattier meats. Good fatty ribeye. I don't have to eat butter with it. But like this evening, when I had my one meal of the day, I had a couple of my meatballs, and they're the meatballs. What are they? I don't know. I forget. 2 ounces each. They're pretty good size meatballs, and a couple of hamburger patties. Now those I had to eat. I had to eat plenty of butter with them. But yeah, I eat a ton of fat. I'm every bit of 70 to 80% of my calories is from fat, and yet I still deal with this. This is one where I'd like to talk to Dr. Chafee one-on-one, because he's famous for saying, if you have loose stools, cut back on the fat. If you have constipation, add the fat. Okay, I can eat 100% fat and it's not going to change anything, So I'd like to say, okay, doc, figure this one out for me. But I think it boils back to IBS and not having a gallbladder.
All right. We just peaked at 81 viewers.
Wow.
That's the record,
I've noticed a few newbies on the.
I think it's me.
Yeah.
I think it's me.
And
I'm
also
sharing
Kelly.
it too.
Yeah, Kelly's restreaming, and so is John. So
that's
that
good.
helps a lot.
Keep it up, boys. You're doing great.
You guys could hit that like button, even if you're on Kelly's channel or John's channel. Hit the like button on their on their copies of the video too, so this can show up to more eyes that could use this information and get to hear some myths as we bust them. Here's another one: saturated fat will give you heart disease.
I guess that's why my doctor's taking me off all of my heart medications. My cardiologist, and by the way, my cardiologist loved what I did for myself. Quote, unquote, you have done more to heal yourself than anything I could have done for you. So my cardiologist would disagree with you.
That's awesome to hear that from a doctor. So
yeah.
Very nice. Yes. So, saturated fat is, a lot has come a long way. Actually, probably almost like 10 years now. There's been studies that have shown that, that's not quite the demon that it was taught to be in the 50s, 60s, 70s, and 80s and 90s. And, but it's still obviously taking a long time to kind of permeate the mainstream, because the mainstream still kind of sticks to that old thinking. But no, saturated fat is just fine. Even when they revised the food pyramid and turned it into a food funnel, and they put the steak and the butters and stuff up at the top, and they made the comment publicly. One of those officials said that we're ending the war on saturated fat. I thought all that was great, although in the fine print they still recommend only 10% or so. I don't think it really matters how much you consume, but you don't need to fear saturated fat, that's for sure. So, in fact, there's a lot of studies out there that indicate that it's probably better for you than the out of proportion amount of unsaturated fats you might get in the form of seed oils. So, all right, here's one from Kel Barnson. Let me look at it over here. Yeah, that's Barnson. Okay. Would you guys ever eat lab-grown meat? Why or why not? I will initially say no, because I'm suspicious. I just don't see how it could be meat.
It's not.
Because
I try to avoid anything that's made in a lab, period. I don't care what it is.
It's the same reason why we don't eat seed oils.
Unfortunately, I am on a blood thinner, so I am eating something from a lab, but we'll see how long that lasts.
Yeah, medications aside, and but here's the thing with lab grown meat is, so you take beef and we talk about how nutrient dense it is. you're not going to get that same nutrition profile in a lab. It's just not going to happen. Now you're not going to get it might be a clump of cells, it might be fat cells, it might be protein cells, but is it going to have the B12 and the thiamine and all the other amino acids and stuff that you would get if you just ate something from nature that you hunted or harvested? I don't see how that's possible. I don't see how the exact same nutritional profile could be duplicated. And even if it could, it's still synthetic. It's like I stopped taking a multivitamin when I started a carnivore diet because there's no point. All those multivitamins are synthetic, created in a lab by mixing a bunch of chemicals together. I'm getting all those vitamins in their natural bioavailable state in the meat that I eat. So
it's just another ultra processed food.
It's just another exactly.
Yeah, it's not going to be any different than anything else that we have in the center of the supermarket, except for we don't know what what's going to happen if we eat it for a long period of time.
Right. So like they'll be able to technically call it meat, but is it really meat? That's the question that comes down to. So for me, this is a hard pass. Again, my food philosophy is you have to be able to pick it off a vine, pull it out of the ground, or hunt it down, slit its throat, roast over as a fire. And then it's fair game to eat.
And listen,
lab doesn't fit into that equation.
I'm pretty dependent on grocery store meat. I'm pretty sure Kelly is, and Bob, you are too, right? For the most part. Mm-hmm. So like we really never can know what they're slipping into the food chain. The only way to avoid it completely is to be like Jeff and to just grow your own meat,
Yeah, I'll tell you what, anybody that can do that, they will receive so many blessings into their lives doing it. My gosh, it's the only way to live if you can do it. But unfortunately, I'm one of the rare few that can.
Yeah. So the meat that I get is usually, it's in the container that you can tell what it is. Like I would be leery of meat that came, like I don't like to get the burger that comes in the roll that's tied off like a sausage roll on each side that came from who knows where in the country. I like the stuff that you can look through the plastic and you can see that it's ground beef, or you can see that it's a steak. So I'd be with lab grown meat. I'd be worried about any kind of, I think it would sneak its way into TV dinners, processed food, packages like that. That's where I think it's going to show up the most. And then, I've got a local rancher that I can go down and I can buy meat from the local rancher, and they're slaughtering the cows right there. So I know that I can avoid it. If it came to that where there's a risk of it being in the stores, I know where I can go to avoid getting lab grown meat. So, but yeah, I think it's a bad idea.
Same here. I have a neighbor right across the road from me that raises cattle, and I know they're eventually wanting to start selling beef. So I'll just go right next door to get it.
Mm-hmm.
What do they do with the beef now?
Right now, they sell it at the market.
Oh, okay.
So Chris Fagan continues that it's his dad that has the PLS, and that's the primary lateral sclerosis. Slowly getting worse. You think carnivore diet would help? I think
definitely can't hurt.
It can't hurt.
Yeah.
Based on multiple, how I've seen people with multiple sclerosis react with a carnivore diet, it's helped them. Mm-hmm. I don't know if this is similar or not. They're both neurological disorders. They both have sclerosis in the name. So I think that there's a good chance that you might see a benefit there too. I would think it's worth the try. So,
yeah. Well, what you got going on now isn't doing anything for you. It's getting worse.
And time's going to pass anyway. So
time's going to pass anyway.
90 days.
Exactly. So
try it.
I would do it in a heartbeat.
And it's such an anti-inflammatory, and a lot of these things are caused by inflammation. Yep. So knock it out.
Yeah, I wouldn't hesitate to try it, because here's the thing. It ain't going to kill you.
Yep.
And it just might cure you. or
The
at
only
least help him.
problem is your dad. Remember, it's not you, Chris. It's your dad. Is he willing to change everything that he's known for his entire life?
Yeah.
And some people say no. They don't. They're not ready to do that. So, but yeah, try it.
And if you need to know how to get started, I mean, there's a ton of YouTube videos out there from all the great carnivore doctors and all the great influencers. But a good source, my favorite source, what I promote is get Dr. Baker's book, The Carnivore Diet,
The original.
the original Carnivore Diet.
Mhm.
His book, you can get it audio, you get it on Amazon. It's not expensive and it's not a long book, but he tells you everything you need to know about getting started on the carnivore diet, and it's very comprehensive. He does an excellent job with it, and it's I had the audio book, and it was a great listen. So I would suggest that you start there.
A lot of comments here about lab-grown meat that I completely agree with. It's not really meat. Could be poison. So could be
And
That's
listen,
another.
could be
that's
empty
another
calories like
thing.
other processed foods. What's that?
That's another thing. I will take my money that I'll normally take to the grocery store, and I will go every Saturday morning to the Columbia, Missouri farmers market and buy my meat there.
Mhm.
There you go. That's a great idea, Kelly, because here's the deal. If you are concerned or you hear rumors, whatever, that they're putting it in your meat at the stores,
yeah.
then go find you a butcher shop. Go find you a farmer's market. Go find someplace else to buy your meats.
And so,
And for
and a lot of
those-
times that the farmers market or like the meat that I remember spending money at the farmers market one time, and it was just as cheap than it was going to the grocery store.
Yeah. It can be.
Jemet says, I agree. I don't like tube meat. Now, I will eat tube meat from time to time. Like I'll buy Bob Evans breakfast sausage in the tube. I'll buy every
the
once in a
ground
while,
beef
I'll
in that
buy
big-
hamburger. I'll buy
Yeah.
hamburger in a roll. I'm just saying if lab grown meat starts to proliferate,
It's
and
like
become
printed.
a
They
thing,
print it. They print it.
yeah, that's
Fiber by
the
fiber.
type of product I'd be leery of. Versus, you go to the store and you see the styrofoam tray with the plastic wrap over top, and it's got a label with the weight, and they probably ground it in the back of the store like that, like that stuff, or even the stuff that comes in looking like that, I'd be okay with. But I think that if it starts to proliferate, you're going to see it in processed food. You're going to see it in that kind of packaging. That's where it's going to show up first. So I think there'll be visible clues as to where, this is where you're more likely to get processed meat. Lab grown meat. It's kind of like the pink slime debacle of 20 years ago, which sounds gross, but really wasn't that big of a deal. And they still practice it today, by the way. It's just finally the news subsided and they gave it another name, but it's still a practice that goes on. And you're more likely to find that in processed meat products like beef jerky, chicken jerky, deli meats. If you go to a very cheap store and get very cheap ground beef, they might have it in there, but that's very unlikely. So your ground beef is usually unscathed. So, all right, let me bookmark where I'm at here. Go back to the starred ones. Myth, carnivore in STL. Ken, if you don't eat carbohydrates, you will die, as your brain requires you eat carbohydrates. I had a dietitian tell me this before. And so
when's this supposed to happen? Are we on a timeline here?
Still waiting.
Yeah, still waiting. Rick's been trying to get this done for 41, 2, 3 years or so.
Rancher Maggie's been doing it for 65 years or plus.
Still hasn't fallen over dead yet, has she?
Still has blonde hair. I watched a video with she was Bella Steak and Butter Gal was interviewing her when she had that big meetup up in Montana, and she looks like she's in her 60s, 85 years old, and
Mhm.
I mean alert. Like she has a sound mind, 85
Yeah.
years old.
Yeah, I hate to say it, but besides the fact that she looks a whole lot better than me and younger than me, she probably outworked me on the farm.
Yeah, she carries 100 pounds of feed every day.
Well, I can only do 50 pounds. My back won't let me do 100 anymore. Now there was a time in my day when I could throw two 50-pound sacks over on each shoulder and have somebody else put two more, one on each shoulder, and I could carry 200 pounds of feed. But those days are long gone. Even if I didn't have a bad back, I think those days are long gone.
There's a couple comments here. Cranky Carnivore Cutler. Lab-grown meat requires a scaffold for the cells to adhere to. It's made of plant-based polymers, bacterial and fungal cellulose. Tasty. Decellularized leaves or rarely animal-derived proteins. So thanks for that information, Cutler.
Well, and that's a good point. When you look at all this processed stuff, if you could actually see how they make a lot of this stuff, then it would probably turn you off from ever trying it. It's just like, as we all know, we know how seed oils are made.
Mm-hmm.
But when you see it actually getting made, that's one of the most disgusting things I've ever seen.
I saw
and for that reason alone, I don't want those things going into my body.
Mm-hmm.
I saw a video from Dr. Eric Steinman. He did one on that, and I saw that 5 years ago, and it just made me sick. And I'm like, nope, no more of this. I'm start making my own stuff.
All right, it's 9:30 here. I'm going to share the link in the chat again. If you're over on Facebook, here it comes. Join us on screen. If you're on YouTube, I have it pinned on my channel, and it's about to show up in whatever chat you happen to be, whoever's channel you're watching right now. Boy, if this wheel would ever stop spinning so I can post it. Here we go. If you're on Rumble watching, you gotta come over here. So this streams the video, but it doesn't interact with the chats very well. So yeah, if you would like to jump on screen and talk about carnivore myths or bust a few yourself, we'd love to hear from you. So sticking with this lab-grown meat, I'm kind of jumping around a bit here. Here's a scary question. Pick one to eat for the rest of your life if you had to. Lab-grown meat or carbs rich in seed oils?
That's just too tough.
Yeah, it's impossible.
Because both of them are going to kill you.
Well, we don't know
about the
lab-grown meat.
I mean, it's not looking good, but we don't know.
Yeah, it ain't looking good.
So we really don't know what's worse,
Yeah, so we don't.
One
know
might be
what's
less bad.
meat. We need more information about
whichever one is less bad.
Yeah, whichever one's less bad.
Yeah.
So, I'm not against carbs. Rich in seed oils.
Yeah, that's the catch.
So if you're talking that carbs rich in seed oils, that you're talking about processed food. Now we're talking about
Standard
hot Cheetos.
Yeah.
Yeah,
basically, Doritos and
right. Like if it was, okay, I had eggs and I could only cook them if I had if I had a bottle of seed oil and that you had to grease a pan a little bit with a cooking egg. I think that's going to be less bad than the amount of seed oils you get from the chronic consumption of junk food. That's why seed oils. There's studies on both ways on seed oils. There's some studies that say it's okay, and maybe even heart healthy. There's other studies that say it's bad. Well, I think the context really matters here. So, the context of the reason why seed oils are an issue today is because they are in everything, to the point that if you eat a Western diet, standard American diet, which is full of processed junk food that comes in wrappers and boxes, they say that 9 to 11% of the average American's caloric consumption is in the form of seed oils.
Wow.
That's massive. And they don't even know it. It's not like they're going to the pantry and taking shots of seed oil. It's in all this other stuff that they're eating. You know, if all they ate was fruits and vegetables, and then they just used a little seed oil to cook it in, that probably wouldn't be a problem. You know, so it's the compound issue of the modern food system. That's why we call it the standard American junk diet. That's really the problem.
Yeah, it goes back to the poisons in the dose, right?
Right. Yeah. It's like, some of us, and I openly admit it, I'll go to a restaurant, they can cook me a steak. I don't even ask what they cook it in. I'm not concerned because I don't eat junk food for a living and I don't use seed oils at home. So if I come in contact with a little seed oil out there once in a blue moon, I don't care. It doesn't faze me one bit. Other people are super sensitive to it though.
Yeah.
But we talk about that like every week. So, all right. But that is a tough question. Tough question indeed. Let's see here. My dad, this is Holly Spring. My dad was born in 1920 and he had to have bread at every meal. I often wondered if that came from growing up during the Depression when perhaps they had to fill up on bread. Possibly.
Cheap, right?
So
growing up, we ate bread at every meal. That's just what people did. People always ate bread.
I think we did too.
And that's been like that throughout history,
It has.
I will say though, in the past though, bread was more of a luxury than it is today. So I remember watching a movie. There's a 1990s version, 1990 something, early 90s version of Little Women. It's a chick flick, and in the movie, I think the father died in a war, and the mother's raising these 3 daughters on her own, and they're very poor and not getting by. And so for like Christmas one year, one of the neighbors comes over, and there's with a loaf of bread. And they're like, "Oh my God, real bread!" It was like the greatest thing ever. They were so they couldn't believe it. They hadn't had bread in forever, and it was a luxury. But today, you can go down to the store and you get 99-cent loaf of bread like it's nothing. And bread is so prolific in everything today. Plus, the type of wheat they use to produce bread today is bad. The stuff they put in bread today to make it last is bad. If you bake your own bread using just basic bread ingredients, that bread should go bad by the end of the day or the next day. Mm-hmm. But the bread you buy at the store, it could sit on that shelf or on your shelf at home for up to a month and still be usable because of all the stuff they put in it to make sure it doesn't go bad. So again, there's the context there. Wow. What's in this bread today versus bread in the past.
And think about this. One of the ingredients they use for dough conditioner, just eat the shoe sole. That's what you're pretty much eating.
And so we've got right down the road from me, not even a mile, I don't think, maybe a mile. There's a farm down there that's just got, oh gosh, probably 80, 100, 125 acres, just nothing but corn. And I drive by it on my way to my daughter's place. Went up there Sunday, and I got to noticing that whole field, all of the corn is now brown. And I've watched this grown from the day they planted it up until now. That whole field is brown. And it got me to wondering, did they spray that with glyphosate? Did they spray that with Roundup to dry it up so they could get it all to evenly dry out and then they can harvest it? I would have never thought of that until I learned about glyphosates, but all that stuff is in the grains and the foods that so many people are eating. And it's something that can't be washed off.
All righty. Let's see here. Let me mark that spot there. Myth: eating meat causes kidney disease. So that is a myth.
Way, Bob.
Yeah, I did it. I did a video on this, and the reason why is because I am stage 4 chronic kidney disease, teetering on stage 5, and I've been on a carnivore diet for 3 years, and if anything, my carnivore diet has slowed down my kidney degradation. So I'm still fighting it though, because I have because my kidneys are in such a bad shape. I have hypertension that's difficult to control. So that's my current thing that I'm working right now is trying to get the hypertension under control. If I could do that, then I would probably stabilize everything. But no, in that video I shared a study. I think it was 2018, but basically the study demonstrates that protein is not bad for kidneys. That's a myth, and there's still some question. The mainstream still questions. They're starting to accept that protein, if you have healthy kidneys, is okay, but they still cling to the idea that if you have damaged kidneys, that you want to limit your protein. And I don't believe that, and almost of kind of using myself as a guinea pig to prove that it's wrong. There's nothing in the studies that I can find that would indicate that. And my nephrologist is on board. He's actually, when I first met him in 2019, he said he wanted me eating more protein because of the protein I was spilling. So obviously he as a kidney specialist was not concerned about protein consumption one bit. And he backs my carnivore diet 100%. So me and my nephrologist, we get along. We're like buddies. So yeah, this is definitely a myth. You can eat all the protein you want. It's not going to cause kidney disease. Now, why do people say that? That's actually the interesting part. So when you break down protein in two manners, from eating a lot of it, like a carnivore would, if you're on a carnivore diet, or if you lift a lot of heavy things and you work out, or you have a lot of muscle mass, when you break down protein, you create a waste product called creatinine and another one called blood urea nitrogen, BUN. And so those levels will go up in your blood. So when you get a blood test and those levels are higher than normal, higher than the average person, it indicates to the doctor that you might have kidney disease, because what they think is that your kidneys aren't clearing it fast enough. But really what's happening is you just happen to be producing more of it, and it's accumulating in your blood. And it's harmless there. It doesn't do anything. It's just a waste product that your kidneys will eventually clear. So that's where that thinking comes from. So there's a couple other videos out there. Even Sean Baker, I think, he went to the doctor and his doctor told him that he was in a certain stage of kidney disease. And then he went and got a different kind of test that isn't affected by the protein you eat, and his kidneys were 100% fine. So yeah, it's a very common problem. People on carnivore diets get blood work and then they're told they have kidney disease, and it's just because of the increased protein consumption, but they actually are just fine. Similarly, Black Box Warning says red meat gives you gout.
That's a good one.
That is a good one. Of course, not true. Another myth. I got some family members that believe this one too. I got a family member who gets recurring issues with gout, and always thinks it's like, they got to cut back on the red meat. And I think even on the last one, they're just like, they don't eat a lot of red meat to begin with, and then I'm over here eating red meat for a living, and I haven't had any gout since being carnivore. I did have gout once, and it was in 2021. I was doing a very plant-heavy keto, full of spinach and almonds, and I think I was still drinking then too. So, and losing a little bit of weight, but that's when I had my gout flare up. I thought I had a broken toe, and it lasted for about 6 weeks, and it was terrible. But since I've been on a carnivore diet, again, the mainstream says your cases of gout, your risk of gout is going to go through the roof. I haven't had it, and gout's inflammation. We already talked earlier about how inflammation goes down. So if inflammation goes down, why would the odds of gout go up? So
yeah, you eliminate the oxalate foods, eliminate the alcohol, I think you'd see that gout disappear.
Desiree said, my husband has a herniated disc in his lower back. No surgery. Since going carnivore, he's not complained of any pain. Fingers crossed. So, very good.
Just be aware. Just be aware. I still don't mean you can do bad things. You still got to lift right. I found that out real quick because I hurt mine real bad here a couple of months ago, and all I was doing was moving a heavy ramp to the side just an inch. Didn't take much, and threw my back out again. So you still have damage back there. The inflammation may be gone, but you still have damage. You still got to lift properly and do things right and don't twist.
That's why I have to lift. I have to be careful how I lift. I will squat a certain way and lift a certain way because I can't squat properly with the right hip. So I have to squat towards my left side and pull, lift up that way.
Yep.
Robin, refined fire. My legs would go numb. I got my 2 main veins taken out of both my legs one night after the other. Couldn't walk far at all without burning, numb feeling. The carnivore diet has helped me a lot. All right. Very good, Robin. Thank you for sharing. The Cyclone Drew. Hola, Bob and crew. How are you feeling, Bob? I'm in a similar boat and have been very strict in the past couple months. Backs up against the wall, no going back. So when you say similar boat, are you referring to kidneys? I'm just curious if you're still...
he put in the chat later on that he's stage 3B4 on the line.
Okay, yeah. So I'm still classified as stage 4 on paper, teetering on stage 5. So I just had a blood test last week, and unfortunately my numbers trickled down in the negative direction a little bit. But it's because of this uncontrolled high blood pressure issue. So, and I'm hyperkalemic. I have high potassium and I have high phosphorus. So we changed my medication on Thursday. So I stopped taking my ARB called olmesartan because that actually works by making you hoard potassium. And since it was doing nothing for me, we went off of that, and I was put on something called chlorothiazide, which is basically a water pill. And that's to hopefully excrete some of the excess fluid that I'm retaining, and also to get rid of some of the potassium and phosphorus. And I think it's working because like my blood pressure has actually dropped about 13 points. I was averaging like 165 over 105. Now I'm averaging 150 over like 92. And that's good. But I'm not happy with it. I want to see that under 140 and under 90. And then I think once I do that, once I get my blood pressure controlled, then I might start to get, because before, for the first couple of years of carnivore, I was slowly showing improvements until I had this debacle with another pharmaceutical and another doctor. That's a whole other story. And so I think once I get the blood pressure under control, that'll afford me an opportunity to start making little micro improvements again. So that's what we're working on right now. So I'm on the chlorothiazide, and I'm taking a calcium channel blocker. I'm going to increase it starting tomorrow, and then I'll probably try and increase a beta blocker. And I might, if this still doesn't get it down where I want it, then I'm going to add a 4th drug to my blood pressure cocktail. So probably minoxidil. So that'll probably be what we go with. So, but we'll see. We'll see how it goes. We're going to get it down one way or another. I wish I didn't have to take 4 pills to do it, though. So that's where I'm at with kidney wise. Other than that, I feel great. My doctors still can't believe that my numbers look as bad on paper as they do. And then I come into the office and, I'm intelligent, I'm quick-witted, I'm fast to respond. I tell them I feel great. I'm still working my job. I still go to the gym. There's absolutely nothing about my stage 4/stage 5 kidney disease that's impacting my life yet. And there's others with better blood work that are in better stages that, they complain about fatigue and brain fog and things like that. And I give credit to that, to the diet for sure. And also to my vitamin D supplementation, because until before I started supplementing vitamin D, I was down around like 8. Now I got it up in the 50s. So I think those two things are why I feel so good. Let's see here. Same person. Bob, have you looked into red light therapy for potentially aiding or helping regain kidney function? Supposedly some small studies on this. No, I have not looked into red light therapy at all for anything. I've heard of it. I just have not done any research on it. I think part of the problem is my brain immediately just thinks it's kind of silly, but I don't know. Like I said, I just sitting under a red lamp, or I've seen people put like red light helmets on their head when they're trying to spur like hair growth and stuff like that. And I don't know. That's probably why I don't take it too seriously. I've never heard of red light therapy in connection with kidneys. So, I mean, that might be, it'd be interesting to see the studies on that. How about the rest of you on the panel? Are you familiar with red light therapy at all? For any
I heard
other
about it,
type
but
of...
I heard about it, but I never researched it.
Mm-hmm.
Just the commercials.
Mm-hmm.
I've done red light therapy, and I can't say I felt any different.
I'm skeptical of it.
It's also one of those things, and very skeptical when people are like, oh, but you have to just keep doing it for like more, and then I was like, sounds like you're trying to get money from people.
Mm-hmm.
So it's a little woo woo, but it didn't hurt.
Yeah, I wonder if there's like a red light. I think there might be a red light thing down at Planet Fitness.
Yeah.
They got massage chairs. They got suntan booths. They probably have
I wouldn't be opposed to trying it if somebody wanted to send me the equipment at their expense. I'd be more than happy to experiment with it.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm not going to spend the money to try something that I'm skeptical about.
Mm-hmm.
Not without a whole lot more proof.
It's supposed to help with like inflammation and blood flow and all these. Apparently it's supposed to be able to penetrate your skin and into your into your body, but I don't know.
Yeah, I've seen like a red light helmet for people trying to regrow their hair, and I've seen like these really expensive red light machines that you can just set next to you, and you're supposed to sit next to for so many minutes. And I just keep scrolling like, I mean, that's just been my gut reaction to it. So, but I have honestly not looked into it. So I'm not I'm not like, making fun of you for suggesting it, or anybody who does red light therapy. You probably know 10 times or 100 times more about it than I do. I'm just literally completely naive on the subject. So, all right. I have a family member with GI issues. I've tried to convince him to go carnivore. His doctor is against it. Surprise, surprise. He's also has had HO. He also has a HO, open heart surgery, and a stroke. So he is scared of red meat and cholesterol.
It's understandable.
Yeah.
We've all been brainwashed to believe that this was bad.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
And so it's going to be difficult to go at it with an open mind, but we have seen the studies, we've seen the proof, that red meat and cholesterol is not a bad thing, especially when you consider cholesterol. Your body makes cholesterol. Your body isn't going to make something that's going to kill you. It's what your food is doing to your body that is killing you. And so if you're eating the right food, everything becomes natural to your body. Your body works the way it was designed to work. And that means your cholesterol goes up. It goes up. That's fine. It's not hurting you. most of us have high cholesterol. It's not hurting us, but I can understand you've had surgery, you've had a stroke. Yeah, that would scare you because doctors keep telling you that's what's causing it. But you look at the people that are on this diet, we're not having strokes, we're not having heart attacks that are related to the diet.
The diet.
I mean, you can take, old man Carnivore Mitch. Yeah, he had a stroke.
Mm-hmm.
But it's funny, he had the stroke in the exact same place he'd had brain surgery.
Mm-hmm.
Wasn't related to the diet.
I see you. Charger Mopar's joined the chat here.
He has.
Yes. Yeah. Pop online if you'd like to there, Rick. Be good to see you. Anybody else who's watching would like to join us on screen, just go ahead and click that link. Let me star where I'm at and go back to the starred ones. I'm 50. This is Ron Jovi, 1976. I'm 50. So am I. Reverse type 2 diabetes and hypertension. Just trying to gain muscle and lose this last 30 pounds. All right. Very good. So those are good accomplishments. So when I first started my carnivore diet, I did fix my hypertension. So I had it before and it came down to normal. Until this doctor and this other prescription jacked me up. So, all right. Jerry says, here's a myth. If you don't eat vegetables, you will get scurvy. So we talked about fruits and vegetables earlier, but we're specifically referring to scurvy. Because the old adage goes, you need vitamin C so you don't get scurvy. And that's what the sailors traveling over the seas to the U.S. or something, that's why they got scurvy. Also been debunked. Who wants to debunk this one?
I will.
Go for it.
So this all started from, like you said, the sailors, the Englishmen. They were doing all that sailing back in the day, exploring new worlds and trade routes and all that, and fighting on the seas. Well, so they go out to sea for, how long did it take to cross the ocean back then? 6 months, 8 months, a year. What they packed in their food for the sailors was mainly foods like gruel. What was gruel? It was kind of an oatmeal type food. So they mainly ate grains. All right. And they had their grog to drink, which was their rum or their liquor. But the officers had to bring their own food. It wasn't provided by the ship stores. So they brought their own food. And what they brought was mostly preserved meats. They didn't live off of gruel like the sailors. See, the sailors didn't have to pay for it. The ship's captain had to pay for it, or whoever was sponsoring the ship had to pay for it. So they had to feed them as cheap as they could. So they fed them grains. And that's what they mainly ate. Whereas, like I said, the officers had to provide their own food, so they provided mostly out of their own pocket preserved meats. You always hear about the sailors getting scurvy. You don't hear about the officers getting scurvy because they didn't. They had no issues with it because they were eating mostly preserved meats. So that's where we bust that is you got to look at the food they were eating. And then, of course, this is where they learn to start eating limes, hence the reason why they are derogatorily called and sometimes affectionately called limeys for the English. But that's where that came about. But we know now that when you are not eating a high carb diet, your body is not fighting over the vitamin C that you get from meats, because there is vitamin C in meats. It's a very small amount. You just don't need as much vitamin C. So your body, when you're eating a lot of carbs, those carbs compete with the vitamin C. And so your body, you need more vitamin C for your body to utilize it. But when you don't have those carbs competing for the vitamin C, what little bit you get is more than enough for what you need. That's my 2 cents for it. And I'm still waiting to get scurvy after 3 years. Hadn't happened yet.
Yeah.
Hell, they didn't sail for 3 years,
Right.
6 months, 8 months, or whatever. So
Right.
Yeah.
Another closely related myth is that you don't get any vitamin C in meat, and that's just not true. So there is
That's not
vitamin
true.
C that
You do
comes in
get
meat.
it.
Yep. Which
You
you may
just
have
don't
mentioned.
need as much.
All right. Cyclone Drew, I like this comment. There's the illusion of choice when you look at the aisle of grocery stores, 11,000 products, but essentially 3 ingredients, wheat, corn, or soy.
Yep.
That is true.
That's true.
Everything in the store is really just the same thing in a different shape. So,
Yeah.
yeah. Here's a good one for myth versus truth. Carnivore is not sustainable long term. I've seen a lot of carnivores now adding carbs, even Maria Emmerich lately. Thoughts? Okay, so, well, I don't think Maria Emmerich was ever a carnivore.
She was
keto.
keto.
She promotes a keto diet. So some of them, so you got to remember, the carnivore diet at its heart is an elimination diet. The thinking is you go on this elimination diet, reach your health goals, and then you start adding back certain things to see how you react to them. That's the purpose behind an elimination diet. What some people do is they feel so good eating just the meat that they're like, why bother? And so they just eat meat and they stay carnivores for years and years and years or for life. As to why people want to add back carbs, that's their prerogative. Paul Saladino gives his reason. And his reasons, I hear them, I make sense, and they make sense. Other people like Bart Kay and Nutrition with Judy, they can analyze Paul's diet and kind of they theorize this is where they think Paul went wrong, And but if the guy wants to eat fruit and honey, the guy can eat fruit and honey. He's not eating hot Cheetos. He's not eating a standard American diet. He's still a huge advocate for health and incredibly smart. And his book, The Carnivore Code, is if you like deep, research. I mean, that's one of the best books out there. As for others, whatever their prerogative is, if some people they reach their goals and they want to have more variety. I'm not going to fault them for that. I'm never going to call someone bad because they chose to go ketovore, or if they chose to go animal based. So, because it still fits within my philosophy that as long as it's single ingredient whole foods, that you can find in nature, that God or nature provided for you, that you can eat and not get sick or die, then it's human food. Humans have been picking berries for as long as they've been eating meat, probably longer, actually. If you believe in the evolution tale, then we descended from frugivores. So, it's not that big of a deal. Now, is it sustainable long term? Absolutely, it is. We've talked about Rick. We've talked about Maggie, and those are people with 4 decades, 6 decades of eating nothing but meat. And again, we got people on the panel that have been doing it 3 years or longer, and other people in the community. Chafee, Baker. I think Chafee's up to 7 years. Baker's up to 9. Kelly Hogan's 15 years now, I think.
Yeah, I think more.
Yeah.
So
Dr. Schultz is close to 15.
Yeah. So go tell them. Go tell them that it's not sustainable long term. What's long term? You can't live to 200. Well, duh.
It all boils down to the individual and their mindset. What they want out of this, what they want out of their lives.
Yeah.
Those of us that have seen the darkest days of our lives, where we were, laying in hospitals and decided to change, we have a strong motivation to maintain the change that developed within us. We don't want to go back to the way we were. So that's our motivation for sticking long term to this.
Yeah.
Because I know if I go back to eating Bluebell ice cream, I'm going to throw everything away that I did, and I don't want to do that. Just like I know if I take a dip of Copenhagen snuff, I'm going to be hooked on snuff again. I don't want to go back to being addicted to that stuff again. So it all boils down to the individual and their mindset and how they want to treat this. For those that want to eat a few carbs, they've gotten to the point they're in a maintenance stage and they can afford to have a few carbs. They want to go back to that. If it doesn't affect them, it doesn't hurt them, more power to you. Do what works for you. If this helps you to continue to maintain a healthier diet, then so be it. But for some of us, our motivation is too strong to stay the way we are.
Yeah. So, and I do want to say that like people like Jason here, they're not advocating for carbs. They're not questioning the carnivore diet. A lot of people in the audience here are there. I asked if they could tell us some myths that they've heard.
Right.
And this is a myth. So when we bring up somebody's name and we talk about a myth, and then us on the panel sit here and we slam that myth, we're not slamming Jason. We're attacking the myth and we're busting it. And Jason's with us every week, and he knows where we stand.
Yeah,
and we know where Jason stands.
There is a little bit of truth to that, in that some people just fail, or some people go back to eating carbs, because they believe it's not sustainable for them. Yeah, there can be some truth in that, but it goes back to the individual mindset. What do you want out of it?
Yeah.
That proper human
diet.
I
want a quality life. I don't care if it's one day left on earth. I want to have that quality life. That's the reason why I make the decision. It's like, if I have one puff of a cigarette or one dip of chew or one nutty bar, it's over with. I know that I would undo everything. Just like Jeff said, I would have undid everything I have done for the last 2 years or 5 years, 6 years, 7 years.
Now, by contrast, I'm not like that. So I'm carnivore most of the time, but I can occasionally, and like I say, admit regularly. I admit regularly because one of these days you're going to see me at a restaurant with a piece of broccoli on my fork.
Well, and
listen, broccoli.
You're gonna be like, hey, you're that guy that talks about meat all the time on YouTube. But no, if I go out to eat, I'll
quite often you talk about how strict I am, and I am very strict 99% of the time.
Yeah.
But I deviate. A lot of times when I'm cooking out, Mama wants some jalapeno poppers. We're going to eat jalapeno poppers. I love jalapenos. I love peppers in general. But, you take jalapeno and you stuff it with cream cheese and meats, and wrap it in bacon and smoke it out on the smoker. Son, it don't get no better than that. That's some good eating.
Yeah.
So I will deviate. I have that maybe once a month, once every 2 months. And right now, I got wild grapes growing on my place, on my fence lines, and I'll grab a couple of them every once in a while and pop a few of those in. They're sour grapes, but I like them. I like that sourness. And then I got some black raspberries growing on my backyard fence line. I see one nice and nice big one that's black and plump, and sweet. Yeah, I'll pop it in my mouth. I'll eat 1 or 2 a day. I am noticing, going back to being an addict, I am noticing I'm starting to have cravings from doing that. So it's something I have to be mindful of. But because berries are low glycemic, it's not affecting me as if I had a bowl of ice cream or something. It's very low. And these will die out or go dormant. And when they do, I won't have any more, and I'm not going to run to the store and buy any. I'm not going to eat any fruits from the store anyhow. That ain't going to happen other than my jalapenos. So yeah, I mean, I'm not that dogmatic about it. I do have a little bit here and there on some type of fruit.
Yeah.
I have spicy dill pickles. I get my favorite dill pickles from Natural Grocers. I love them.
I eat pickles also.
Sauerkraut every now and then.
I had a couple of dill pickles when I was on vacation a couple of weeks ago.
Yeah.
All right.
So yeah, we're not 1,000%.
But these foods are not the things that made us sick.
No.
Broccoli didn't give me diabetes and didn't give me,
Exactly. None of this is what you would consider that ultra processed standard American diet junk. These are things that are natural, fermented or whatnot. And this goes along with Scooby the Dog's comment. Most carnivore cultures did eat small amount of carbs, like grab a few berries while out hunting. People should just do what's best for them. So yeah, and
It's seasonal.
They happen to, this is a response to Jason, who we had their comment on the screen earlier. And again, Jason was just bringing up the myth,
Yeah.
So he wasn't advocating for carbs per se. Carnivore in STL Ken. I did have big toe pain when I started carnivore, but I had heard someone on YouTube say that when your body heals, the crystals may come out to be cleared from your body. The toe pain was temporary.
Oxalates.
Yeah, so that initial
Could be.
change, can trigger could trigger that, the oxalates. Yes. Cyclone Drew. I will say my blood pressure has been under control with losartan, but my potassium was a little higher in the last blood work. So yeah, losartan, it's actually called losartan potassium. So it'll raise it. All your Zartans work by increasing potassium. And so that's why I had to get off of them eventually. I used to be on losartan. Then it proved ineffective. We tried to switch to olmesartan because it's see if I'd respond to it better. Nothing. So I'm done with the Zartans. So Jamet asks, why do doctors keep changing blood pressure medication? Is it side effects? Because it seems like it's the manufacturing of these meds. Just my opinion. Thank you. So it depends.
It's not working.
Yeah, a blood pressure med may be effective for a while and then it's not. Okay, so that's not really what happened to me, but kind of, sort of. Other things are very, for instance, like I'm on, if I were to take, like the problem with the minoxidil. Okay, the minoxidil increases the chance of edema in your ankles, also body hair growth, and that's why they put it on your head and stuff. And which I'm not taking this, by the way, and also increased heart rate. But to counteract that, you got the calcium channel blocker, you got the chlorothiazide, so that'll help with the edema, and then you got the beta blocker to help counteract that. So sometimes you take certain drugs and you got to take another drug to counteract that drug. That's the game that some of us have to go down. So this is a field of blood pressure meds is starting to become a field of expertise for me. So
unfortunately,
unfortunately, I'm learning about because I like to get into the mechanisms of how they work, why they work, what are they doing, because I don't want to be taking these and then it's like, down the road I'm going to end up having some issue that ended up being from the medication, because all my issues in life come from medications that I was given in the past. So I'm skeptical. So I research everything to death. I love this comment from Lizzie's World. They took the seeds and nutrition out of fruits and vegetables. They took the wolf out of the dog, and they're definitely taking the nutrition out of the meat.
Based on the lab-grown meat.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. No, I like that. I like that a lot. Latro says, beware amlodipine, which I'm taking nifedipine, which is another calcium channel blocker, causes swelling in the ankles. And I have had that. But I can also have that from kidneys not clearing the liquid in my body, which is why my blood pressure is high. I drink a lot of fluid, and my kidneys don't excrete the fluid as fast as they should, so that builds pressure in my cardiovascular system. There's a discussion that people over 65 should not take some of these BP meds. Possibly, yes. Cutler always has some great scientific information to share. He's a valuable audience member here. I love his comments. Studies show red light therapy is safe, effective, and FDA cleared for treating mild to moderate acne, stimulating hair growth and pattern baldness, and accelerating wound healing. All right. Very good. So,
all right, guys, I'm gonna hop off. I'm gonna get to bed.
All right. Well, thank you for joining.
I know we're getting to no problem. Thanks for having me. Good seeing everyone, Kelly, Jeff. Good seeing you, Bob.
You too, Lewis.
Yeah, I'll be listening. So have a good rest of the show.
All right.
Thank you,
Good
everyone.
night, sir.
Take
Right,
care.
thank
Good
you.
night. Yeah, so this is interesting here. No, it's all external benefits where the light can shine. If you look at this, the hair, the acne, and the wound healing, that's the things that the light would shine right on and possibly help. So how would I shine it on my kidneys? That's the study that I'd like to see. Steadfast uses it nightly. I believe we're still talking about red light therapy. Not as much in the summer. Gave one to my sons and their families for Christmas. Personally, I find I sleep better, skin improvement, and pulled back muscle recovery. Took 3 months. All right. Very nice. Thank you for sharing your red light therapy information and experiences. Patty Rickson, the sun is the best red light therapy. As always, yes. And Deanna Raw, I use full body red light treatments along with PEMF stands for post electric magnetic frequencies, 25 minutes. The benefits are like laying in the sun while grounding, lying on the lawn. That is free. All right. Very good.
I believe Jonathan Carnivore Muscle over in the UK, he does a lot of red light therapy.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Okay. Well, so maybe I should take the time to look into it. So, like I said, this is something I'm just completely in the dark about.
Yeah, I'd be willing to try it. I'm just not going to spend any money on it. Not until I know for a fact it's going to do something.
Because I've, in the past, I've looked into, like, hey, what can I do about this shiny dome up here? Can I get some hair back? And I've looked at, minoxidil and finasteride, and I don't want to take those. The topical minoxidil is like, well, if you stop using it, and mine's been gone for 2 decades, so there's probably no growing it back anyway. And finasteride, that's a pill, and I heard that messes up your hormones and stuff like that. So it's like, what? I'm 50. I don't have to I'm bald. I'd embrace it. I'm okay. But I've seen what are some other things that might work? And I came across these red light therapy helmets, and you see these images of guys wearing this helmet on their head with the red light therapy, and wear this for 30 minutes a day. And it's like, I'm not going to do that, And then I click and I move on. So I'm like, that's the only thing I know about red light therapy is I've seen these guys wearing these helmets, and
that's why they make the best invention right here for bald people. Hats.
Yeah, the hats. Yeah.
Unless you want to wear a wig.
Right.
Well, I remember my buddies growing up, I always wore a hat. I don't go outside without a hat on. And my buddy's like, man, you're going to go bald. You wear a hat all the time. You're going to go bald. 70 years old, boys. Still ain't got there yet.
All right. And finally, Bob, have you tried high amounts of potassium, meaning like 4,000 to 6,000 milligrams a day plus the other minerals? So I can't.
No.
No, I can't. I literally get all the potassium I need from my meat. My potassium, I'm hyperkalemic. So if you take my blood test, your potassium should be in a range that maxes out at about 4.5. My potassium is 6.3. Where you start, supposedly it gets over 6, you can start feeling like palpitations and stuff. I don't. But if I have a potassium spike from my food, I will have seizures and muscle cramps. And if you get over, a potassium over 7 can stop your heart. So you can actually die from high potassium. So because of my kidneys, I don't excrete potassium like I should. So it would be very dangerous for me to take potassium. I have to as a kidney disease sufferer, I have to avoid potassium. So, but in someone with normal kidneys, this is a recommendation. This is to be a recommendation. That's why we recommend electrolytes. Someone might need these things, but not me. I don't have to take any electrolytes at all because my kidneys don't excrete them very well, except for salt. My salt's always low. So, all right, I am all caught up on those comments, and so we're back to the live ones. So I haven't read these yet. So there's going to be a little bit of lag. Who's the longest term carnivore here? Rick wants to know. Gee, Rick, I wonder. Yeah. So that would be Rick, of course. 43 years, is it now?
I believe so. 43 or 44.
Yeah. All right. Let's see here. Carnivore was amazing for decreased inflammation and notable increased muscle strength in a very short time. Very good. Desiree says, "Hey, panel guys, or anyone in the chat, would anyone be willing to participate in Jerry's When Keto and Carnivore Collide series? Give me a shout out if you're willing to be nominated. Thank you." So I would like more information. So, and
I already did my challenge. I had the Poffles.
Okay. I don't know what this is, so I will have to go over to Jerry's channel and, or is it your channel, and or maybe both, and look at some videos that talk about this. So I'm not exactly sure what this is, but if I had some more information, I may be willing to participate. So, and yeah, Scooby the dog is correct here. He could eat high potassium foods, but never take high potassium as a supplement. So, yeah, I can't even do that. I got to watch out for, well, I just like banana. Most things are plants, bananas, avocados. I got to watch out for all those oranges. So I don't eat any of those as a carnivore, but I do eat a lot of pork. Now, pork muscle meat is very high in potassium, and I eat a lot of pork. So if potassium continues to be a problem, it might behoove me to eliminate pork and just focus on ruminant animals. That can help get my potassium down to a better level. But it was also driven up by medication. So hopefully when I quit that medication, I'll be okay.
When I was taking Element every day, the non-flavored stuff, it drove my potassium over the top of the limits, and I had to quit taking that stuff. I still will take a supplement when it's hot and I'm working outside all day.
Mm-hmm.
I'll take one, but like you, Bob, I got to be careful of that. I may have reversed my atrial fibrillation, but doesn't mean that I still don't have some kind of heart disease. And yeah, that's for somebody that's got heart issues. You got to watch that potassium because, like you said, it'll kill you. And my salt always stays low too.
I think most of the time, we may, even if it's hot summer, we may take an element supplement or something, just one. But main thing, I think we get more low on salt because we sweat out the salt more than we do the others.
Yeah. Yeah, and I noticed a big difference that, if I don't take a supplement, then I'll end up dealing with cramps. But I just got to be real careful about how often I take them.
All right. Aaron, the carnivore-ish guy, says, since being carnivore-ish, I do not sunburn. So I don't, except for the top of my head. That's the only thing that gets it. But the skin is thin up here on this dome. So, but the rest of my body, I haven't had sunburn on my shoulders, arms, or back in ages.
Yeah, I
guys,
just brown these days.
You don't need to hide your baldness. All right. Well, thank you. Let's see here. I asked Dr. Wiedemann for red light therapy recommended. I didn't want to pay that much for the one she used, so I took all the specifications for that one and shopped accordingly. Oh, she was talking about getting her own bulbs. So I went to lunch today with my cousin, ordered bacon and coffee. The waiter asked if I needed a box. I also bought heavy cream for my coffee. $4 for the bacon, $2 for the coffee. I went to McDonald's. It was a couple months ago. And I'm just like, yeah, just from your a la carte menu, I'd like to get 4 quarter-pound patties on the side. no bun, it's just the 4 quarter-pound patties. And it's kind of funny because like most cashiers are like, they don't even know where their a la carte menu is. So I'll lean over and I'll be like, you want to press breakfast, then a la carte, and then it's down here at the bottom. Like I know where it's at now on the computers because I get it. I've gotten it so often. But anyway, this girl, I'm like, I'd like 4 quarter-pound patties on the side. You can put them all in the same container. And she goes, "Oh, is that for your dog?" I was like, "No, that's for me." And she's like, "What?"
Yeah, most McDonald's will do that. I had one McDonald's. I went to YCW Young Christians Weekend twice in a row, and I said, "A la carte, please, 4 burger patties." Oh, we can't do that. I guess the franchise owner quit doing that. So you have to order the sandwich and minus the bread, minus the bun, and all the other junk of it.
Now, see me, I'd go ahead and fast. Say, I'm willing to give you money if you're willing to give it to me my way. You don't want to give it to me my way, you don't give my money. So I'll just fast. I am a deviant.
All right. So I'm looking this up right now here. Carnivore and STL Ken says, "Can you search for a picture of Pop-Tarts emotional support pals? Just seen them at a doctor's office. The fact that Pop-Tarts seems to be targeting this is susceptible children is sad." So let's see here.
Pop-Tarts emotional support. Oh my.
Just shows you how evil the food industry is.
Here we go. I got something. Share screen. There we go. That's them.
That's
Unbelievable.
That's disgusting.
So is that like a stuffed animal? Is that like a toy? It looks like it. You're not actually going to eat that. Oh, that's opening in a new tab. Okay. Go back to this tab. I don't know. It looks like a... Oh, they're squishies. Yeah, okay, that's the URL up here. It says Amazon.com shop food themed squishies. So that is a toy. Yeah, no, it's targeted towards children. Well, I mean, I remember watching Saturday morning cartoons, and I mean, all kinds of stuff, all kinds of junk food, fruit roll-ups, whatever. I mean, and they're all marketed towards kids. The kids bite into some, it's made with real fruit, something or other, and they're like, they bite into it, and then like all of a sudden, like colors fly everywhere, and their eyes get really big, and they got all this happiness going on, and then what did that make us do as kids when we were at the store? We're like, mom, gotta get this. So yeah, no, they target kids. They know what they're doing. The marketing industry. Yep. Yeah. Is it sad? Is it a bit underhanded? Yeah, absolutely. Oh. I've never seen an emotional support Pop-Tart though. Oh,
That's
right.
Crazy.
Yeah, let's see.
Yeah, for my emotional support, I sit under a shade tree and watch my cows or my goats eat grass.
I have your same haircut. Bald is the way to go. With the money I save on shampoo, I can buy beef at those high prices. There we go. Think about the positive. Yes. The general population needs 4,600 milligrams of potassium. Even with 1 or 2 electrolyte packets, I still fall. So that's like is that the RDA? Yeah. RDA potassium. Adults generally need between 2,600 and 3,400 mg of potassium per day, with many health authorities recommending at least 3,500. So, yeah, I don't know. I don't eat a lot, and I don't excrete it. My body doesn't use it, so I just hoard it and it causes me problems. So, but that's because
We want-
again, I'm in a unique situation with the kidney disease.
Once again, everybody's different.
Mhm.
And the thing with the RDAs, it's just made up.
Okay.
There's never been any long-term studies that say this is what the human body actually requires. My understanding is that the RDAs is made up by one gentleman who studied a bunch of college kids at a fraternity. And the numbers were just made up based on what their nutrition levels were. It's like blood tests. You know, when we get the results from a blood test, we all know that we're being tested against the last 1,000 people. We're compared to the last 1,000 people at that particular clinic. I mean, I can get a blood test down here in Stephenville, and I can go to Dallas and get a blood test on the same day and get totally different numbers, evaluations. So the thing is, none of them are testing me against my peers. Test me against all of y'all, against people that eat like I do. Then we'll get a baseline. But when you're testing me against a bunch of people that eat SAD diet, that's not accurate information. And the RDA values, who's to say that somebody not eating a SAD diet doesn't have the same needs as the person eating the SAD diet? We already know. Look at the RDA value. What's RDA say on how much vitamin C you're supposed to have every day?
Let's find out.
We just talked about that, right? So I'm a carnivore. I already know my vitamin C is not meeting the RDA values.
90 milligrams. I'm going to go to the bathroom while you continue.
All right.
I'll be back.
So we already know I don't need 90 milligrams because I'm a carnivore. But for somebody who's eating a SAD diet, eating a lot of grains and everything, they might need more vitamin C because their body is competing with that vitamin. The carbohydrates are competing with the vitamin C and stopping the vitamin C from being absorbed. So that person needs to eat more vitamin C foods to be able to get what they need. I don't. So who's to say on any of the RDA charts that I have to have this, when this was all set up for somebody who eats a SAD diet? That's how we have to look at this, because I'm telling you, those RDA values were all made up for a different type of people than me. So I don't pay much attention. I don't care what they say.
I don't take all those supplements like I used to. The only supplements I take is a vitamin D, K2, magnesium complex, and zinc and a fish oil. And it's cod liver oil. That's what I use. That's it.
Yeah, and that's how I look at it, Kelly, is I look at what am I lacking in my diet that I should, that might need a supplement. So, yeah, my kidneys do expel a lot of my minerals. So that's why sometimes I take a mineral supplement, because I work out in the heat quite a bit. I'm out in the Texas sun. And so all right, so today I did no work outside because I had a doctor's appointment, went to the gym, and I did a little run around on my property looking at some stuff, but I didn't do any work. So today I don't need to take a mineral supplement. But tomorrow, and I won't tomorrow either, but let's say if tomorrow I'm out there and we're building a roping arena right now. We're in the process of doing it. If I'm out there driving T-posts and hard black dirt, rocky soil, and I'm working my butt off all day, I guarantee you the end of the day I'm going to be taking a supplement, because otherwise I'm going to be cramping up all night, So I fit to what I need. I need more sodium, so I'm constantly taking sodium. I take what I need as I need it. With you, I take a fish oil. I don't eat much fish. I don't get much of the omega-3s. And so because I know I'm lacking omega-3s and I know they are important in smaller amounts, I take a fish oil myself. And I do take vitamin D with K2, and I'm doing that for my heart. I get plenty of sun, and I don't know if I'm getting enough sun or not, because usually it's just my legs and my arms that are exposed. But I do take, the K2 mainly, and that's for my heart. And I take what is it? Another one for the heart. Oh shoot, I can't remember the name of it right. Oh, CoQ10. I do take CoQ10 for my heart. So I take a few things for my heart that I may not be getting enough of in the meats that I eat. But yeah, as far as saying I've got to have this amount every single day from the RDA values, no, I don't pay attention to that. I listen to what my body tells me.
All right. Very good. Scooby the dog, why do you take a calcium channel blocker? Because I have high blood pressure that's uncontrolled. It's called secondary hypertension. And so it's due to organ failure. So my kidneys are failing. That's why my blood pressure is high. So I'm on a variety of medications trying to get my blood pressure under control because I'm in this unfortunate loop. This question relates to this one. Wow, I didn't know you were taking all those meds. And Bob, how are your kidneys doing? So it's a vicious cycle. I have very badly damaged kidneys, stage 4, stage 5 chronic kidney disease. Kidneys play a key role in regulating blood pressure. So because of that, my blood pressure is sky high, which is a problem because high blood pressure in turn damages your kidneys. So it's a vicious cycle. So I got to take the medications. We're trying to figure out the right combination of medications that will get my blood pressure under control. So that's just has to be an issue that I'm dealing with right now. So, and it all goes back to a year and a half ago to 2 years ago to this drug that my previous doctor had me on that worsened my kidney condition. So, and unfortunately, I was, put my trust in the medical community and played along, and then it did me wrong. So now I don't trust most doctors, and I don't trust medications. So I research everything to death before I take anything. Bart K is an arse, and I don't know about Judy, but leave other people alone. Let them eat what they want. If they are happy with their diet, then go for it. So yeah, he can be if you're talking about his tactless personality and the way he does like to attack other people. On the flip side of that, Bart K is also very intelligent and very informative. So he's a mixed bag. So I actually like Bart K a lot, but I do think that he could clean it up a little bit, and he has acknowledged as much. And he's been making an effort to try and be better. He's no longer using as much vulgar and abusive language as he used to. And I think that's good because that was almost intolerable to listen to. So I think that reputation wasn't serving him very well. Now, Judy, it's Nutrition with Judy. And yeah, she's actually very smart, very informative, very pro carnivore, written some books. And she's someone who's worth following and worth listening to. I think they're both worth following and worth listening to. Bart K doesn't understand Paul Saladino. He lives in Costa Rica in a tropical setting and surfs 3 hours a day. But anyway, it doesn't matter. He's an adult. He can eat whatever he wants. So yes, that is true. So I am a big Paul Saladino fan too. Isn't it funny? I can be a fan of Paul Saladino and Bart K at the same time. I like Paul Saladino. I think the guy is very intelligent. There is nothing wrong with his animal-based diet. If the Bob diet, what I would say, the diet that I promote or believe in is, you could say, is the marriage of Dr. Berry and Paul Saladino. So Dr. Berry's proper human diet says you can have zero. A proper human diet is a spectrum from 0 to 100 carbs. Humans are a low carb mammal, he says. 0 to 100 carbs. And you got 0 carb carnivore on one end. You got 100 up to 100 grams of carbs in the form of whole food, single ingredient whole foods. And in Dr. Berry's opinion, that's low carbohydrate cruciferous vegetables. And because he's a keto doctor, he's been a keto doctor for years. He was a keto doctor long before he was a carnivore doctor. Paul Saladino is basically the same thing, except will take it a step further, and he's okay with fruit and honey. So now you eat a lot of fruit and honey, you're going to blow past that 100-gram carbohydrate limit. I think if you want to entertain a little fruit and honey and stay under that 100, it's fine. That's my only criticism of Paul Saladino. And again, he's different because lives in Costa Rica, is fit as a fiddle, surfs 3 hours a day, and he can get away with the amount of carbohydrate consumption that he does. But he'll recommend that everyone should eat up to about 400 grams of carbohydrates a day. And he'll call it an animal-based diet. But I sit here and I think to myself, 400 carbs, 4 calories per carb, that's 1,600 calories that are coming from carbs in a day. Why are you calling it an animal-based diet at this point? Because I probably eat between 2,000 and 3,000 calories a day, and probably on the lower end of that. If 1,600 of it was carbs, could I say, am I eating an animal? I just don't feel like that's animal-based anymore. I feel like it's fruit-based. It's fructose-based diet. So I just think that's kind of weird. So, but I think if you keep that under that 100, you take those whole foods and you keep them on the Dr. Berry proper human diet scale, then I think it can work for most people. Unless you have an allergy, unless you have an addiction, and this is gonna derail your progress or something. If you can control what you put in your mouth, apple is not going to hurt you. So generally speaking, again, your mileage may vary, but generally speaking, it's okay. So I just have nothing wrong with Paul Saladino's diet whatsoever. And if you guys are doing an animal-based diet and looking to him as a role model and it's working for you, awesome. No criticism here. So I know other carnivore cops, there's carnivore cops out there that'll absolutely flip out, and they're gonna come up to you and make the sign of the cross on you and tell you you're not a real carnivore. Don't worry about them.
No. I subscribe to both of them.
Mm-hmm.
I don't have a problem with Saladino because I go back to everybody does what works for them, but I look at the truth of the matter, and for me, the truth of the matter with Saladino is just what you spoke of. He's very fit. He's very active, extremely active, and he can get away with that. I know several people who are very active in fitness, and part of their regimen is making sure that they have carbs before they hit the gym. And I mean, we're talking about people that are 10 to 15% body fat. They're burning this stuff up now. They're young. And I think that there's a factor in that. They're being young. When I was young, I could eat whatever I wanted to. I didn't have an issue with it. So I think your age has a lot to do with it. But the only thing I don't like about Saladino, and like I said, I still subscribe to him. I listen to him. I get emails from him, is the blanket statements. That's what I don't like. And I don't like it from anybody in the carnivore community. I don't care who it is. You can't make blanket statements about everybody because we're all different. One of the things I like about Dr. Tony Hampton is he never makes a blanket statement. He's one of the first ones to advocate, get rid of this, get rid of this, get rid of this. But if you want to keep this and you're doing fine with it, keep it. It's no big deal. He doesn't advocate. Now, he is carnivore, but he doesn't advocate that everybody needs carnivore. And I agree totally with it. Not everybody needs it. Some people may want to do it, because that's what they prefer, but not everybody needs it. And Saladino makes these blanket statements. Well, everybody should have that. No, If I ate that many carbs in a day, there is no way I couldn't do it. I would get sick all over again. So, stop making the blanket statements. And Bart K makes some blanket statements. I don't like it coming from him either. And I don't care for his mouth when he's being sarcastic with people the way he does. But I still subscribe to him. So, yeah, don't make blanket statements. You do what's best for you. It's an elimination diet. Be your own N of one and figure it out for yourself what it is you need. We all need different things.
Yeah, I was totally the opposite from you when I was in my 20s. Even though I was active, I had an active job, but like if I ate too much of the carbs, I gained a lot of weight.
Yeah.
Carbs
Well,
always. I was always big. Carbs always put weight on me too. So.
Yeah, I didn't have the, okay, when I was in the Army, I was an infantryman. We had to stay in shape. So we were constantly active. And, we got fed what would be considered a normal diet in the mess hall. We had meats, we had carbs. And, there was soda water machine and there was desserts, plenty of sugars. But when you get up every day and you do 45 minutes of calisthenics and you run 5 miles, 2 to 5 miles, some days it'd be 2 miles, some days it'd be 5 miles. And then you're working all day or you're training all day, you're burning a lot of that stuff up. And then even after I got out, I didn't have a healthy diet at all, but I was constantly active, and I worked hard all day long. And I wasn't a big eater back then. I mean, I could eat a bunch, but living on my own when I first got out, I didn't eat a whole bunch. I was just capable of it. It wasn't until I got married and even then building up my first farm, I did pretty good, but we didn't have much money and we was eating mainly nothing but carbs. And it's when I ate nothing but carbs, I started putting on the weight. And of course, the more weight I put on, the more carbs I ate, the sicker I got.
All righty. Let's see here. Jason says, I love Nutrition with Judy. Lady knows her stuff. Yes, she does. So worth subscribing
She's
to.
good.
Yep. Steadfast. It's like the butcher at the grocery store when I ask for fat trimmings. What do you use them for? Deer bait? That goes to the McDonald's comment I made. Is that for your dog? Carnivore Ken. I was taking potassium initially on Carnivore, but it gave me heart palpitations. I've not taken potassium in 6 months, and I feel fine. I heard there's some potassium in the red meat I eat. Yeah, no, there's lots of potassium in a carnivore diet. I think you should be getting plenty of potassium from a carnivore diet if you're eating enough. I don't see any reason for supplementation. But some people feel better with it. Some people can take the electrolytes. And again, if you have 100% functioning kidneys, if your potassium's high, your kidneys will excrete just enough to keep it at the level where it wants it in your serum. If it's low, then you take some potassium and bring those levels back up. That's what the kidneys do. So most of the time, if you have healthy kidneys, you can take electrolytes in moderation. Of course, you can't go to town. You take too many and it really harm you. But you can take an electrolyte supplement, and your kidneys will excrete what you don't need and keep everything in balance. So that's okay. But those of us with kidney disease, it's a little bit different. Myth from Rodney. Good to see you, Rodney. Trim the fat on your meat, or rather trim the fat off.
That just bugs me. I go to the store and I see this nice ribeye, and I'm like, "Are you kidding me? Where's the good part of it? They trimmed the whole fat cap off of it."
Oh, I'll tell you what. So, what was it? I posted a picture. I think it was on. I'm not sure. It might have been on the Tribe. I'm not sure, but I had gotten a really nice fatty brisket that hadn't been trimmed. And I was prepping it, going to smoke it. And I posted a picture of me prepping it, and I had trimmed it. And somebody came on there and just ready to crucify me over this because I trimmed that brisket. I'm like, no, you don't understand. The brisket, the fat cap on that brisket is plenty thick enough. I'm leaving a good quarter to a half inch, throughout the brisket. I just trimmed off the excess. I'm not tossing that fat away. I'm going to make tallow out of that fat. So don't crucify me. I'm still using the fat. I'm not getting rid of it, I've never been one to trim fat unless I'm using it for tallow. But yeah, even when I was a kid, I didn't trim fat. That was the best part of the steak. I always knew it. I didn't know why I knew it, but I knew it.
All right. SUG 2010. My husband is 13% kidney function. He also has to watch his potassium intake. Yeah. Yeah. So I don't know how you would express it in a percentage, but my EGFR on a renal panel is 8. So it was 13. It's down to 8, but that varies widely. So I just had a trip to Hocking Hills where we pigged out on a bunch of meat. So, it could have been 12 or 13 the week before, and now it's an 8 because I got all this extra protein waste in my blood right now, which looks scary on paper because when it's 20, you qualify for the transplant list. When it's 15, they say you should be on dialysis. So 8 looks horrible. That's why doctors look at me and like, why are you not on dialysis, or why are you not dead? Well, how can you come in here and say you feel fine? That's because that's skewed. That 8 is unreliable because my creatinine is skewed from my red meat, my meat-based diet. My cystatin C, calculate EGFR with statin C, is usually around 21 to 23. Last week it was 18. So that's what I don't like. So I want to keep that in the 20s, but that is more reflective of how I feel. So that keeps me, if it's 20 and up, you're stage 4. If it's under 20, you're stage 5. The cystatin C is going to be more of a reliable marker. That's why I say I'm teetering on the edge. But I'm going to go back in 3 months and, I'll repeat the blood test then. In the meantime, I'm still playing the blood pressure medicine game. So how's he feel with 13% kidney function? Is he like me and doesn't notice a thing? Because I don't notice a thing. I would have, even to this day, I would have no clue that I've got chronic kidney disease. Latro says Judy Cho is brilliant. Met her at Hack Your Health 24. And also says Paul Saladino just did another hit piece on Burger King. I watched it. That was a good video. A Whopper has over 120 ingredients. Amazing.
But yet,
go ahead.
But yet, what gets blamed is that patty in the center.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. The one good thing about it is the thing that gets the blame. Yeah, it's actually the bun was the biggest problem in that whole sandwich. There was something like 60 some ingredients just in the bun alone. So let's see here. Oh, this comment here. Bob, what effects would water fasting have on your kidney disease? So water fasting is just fasting. It's having nothing but water, right? Probably not much. I would just have to be careful because I already have difficulty controlling my electrolyte balance anyway. So I would still want to probably supplement. If I'm not eating anything, I probably want to add salt to that water. I probably would want to take a low dose magnesium at night, during the amount of time that I'm choosing not to consume any food because I want to keep my electrolytes stable. So that's really the only issue. So I wouldn't want to dehydrate at all, because that would put stress on the kidneys. So, and likewise, I don't want to overhydrate because that could put stress on the kidneys. So there'd be a balance there, but I don't think it would do much. I know some people have said that you should try fasting. When you deprive your body of food, then it can work on autophagy and repair and stuff. And I get that. And yet, could it help the kidneys? Ever so slightly. But the thing with kidneys is they heal slow, if at all. And it also depends on why are they damaged, So like, mine's through pharmaceutical issues and scarring. So the odds of it healing when you've had that much scarring are very slim. So I could possibly see moderate improvements because I did it in the past, but I'm not going to see miraculous recovery, not at this stage. So when Paul Saladino gets older, he might have to cut back on the carbs. He might. Yeah, when he can't surf 3 hours a day, he won't need all that. He won't need all that, carbohydrates. So, carbohydrates are just another energy source. As carnivores and keto dieters, we use fat and ketones as our energy source. Carbohydrates is just another fuel source. So, Paul Saladino, he gets his nutrition in his meat and organs, and then he's leaning on carbohydrates for energy, which he burns through with his exercise and activity regimen. It is what it is. So, I don't do that kind of exercise. The amount of exercise I do, I run on ketones and burn fat just fine. So, and I don't have a sugar crash. That's another thing I like about the ketosis versus running on glucose or fructose is my energy is always there. It's always sustained. It's like a log burning on a fire. It burns all night. Whereas carbohydrates are like throwing newspaper or kindling into a fire. It burns up, releases all that energy right away, and then the fire goes out, and you got to feed it again. That's what I like about ketones over carbohydrates. I would think, Jeff, you probably appreciate that with all the work you do on the farm all day long.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. Did you work on the farm before Carnivore and have a midday crash, or have to stop and go in and refuel on some carbohydrates at lunchtime, and then so you could go back out and keep going? What was it like? Was there a difference between working on the farm 5 years ago versus working on the farm today?
I look back on it and I can't necessarily remember having crashes, so to speak. Back then I ate by the clock. So I ate 3 meals a day, never skipped a meal, couldn't afford to, because I'd get wore out. But I don't necessarily remember having crashes, but I never put myself in a position to have a crash. Now I get up, I drink my water, and do my devotional, get out there and start doing my work, and I'll go all day. And I don't need nothing, except my water. And then, whenever I come in, and it might be 3 o'clock in the afternoon, it might be 5 o'clock in the afternoon, I'll fix myself something to eat. And that's pretty much how I work these days. I know I couldn't have done that back when I was eating carbs all the time, when I was on a standard American diet. There's no way I could go all day without eating. It wasn't going to happen.
This is the way I was. I used to go to a men's group Saturday morning, and they have it at a restaurant called Route Z, just north of Moberly. And of course, I'd get the buffet, get the biscuits and gravy and all that. This is back in my standard diet days, and I would crash, and I would sleep almost half the day. Now, I'm great. Like even at work, even on the standard diet, when I had the hour lunch break, I would sleep, I'd eat, and I would end up sleeping the other half of the lunch. I had to set an alarm to make sure I get back clocked in time, and I still was groggy. Now, I feel great. I don't even eat. I don't eat until I'm hungry. And if I like today, I didn't eat till 3 o'clock at work. I decided I had to replace the window AC, which we have ours in the wall. I had to replace that, which I had to actually open the wall up more, cut the holes to make the AC was bigger because the one was in there was much smaller. I wasn't hungry, so I'm like, I'm gonna go finish this apartment, get the maintenance done on it. Did that 3 o'clock. I'm like, okay, I'm hungry, so I fixed me some stew meat. That's what I had for my meal today. And anymore, I always shut the lights off, just kind of relax for 30 minutes. I may snooze for 10 minutes, but then I'm like wide awake, ready to go.
You mentioned naps. Come to think of it, I did take a lot of naps back then. At break time and whatnot on the job. I'd take naps all the time. I was tired quite a bit. I don't do that anymore.
And now, since hadn't drank coffee probably 2 weeks now, I feel even more better. Like normally by now I'm crashing, I'm ready for bed, but I'm tired. I could go to bed now, but before I'm like, I couldn't hardly keep my eyes open at 9 o'clock. I'm like, I'm ready to go to bed, but now it's like great. And I figured up and I'm like, I wonder how many, because I had yerba mate tea, matcha tea or yerba bana tea that's got 20 milligrams per tea bag. If you steep it, it's 20 milligrams per cup, and no matter how big your water is. And I was checking, I wonder how much milligrams of natural caffeine is in a cup of coffee. And of course, 8 ounces is 1 cup. So I had actually technically 3 cups because my mug is a cup and a half. And it was 95 milligrams of natural caffeine. And then times that by 3, it's 285 milligrams of caffeine. And now I don't even, every now and then I would take my blood pressure medicine because I felt my heart was pounding out of my chest. Now I don't even have that. I barely feel that now since I got off the coffee.
All right. Very good. Yeah, I'm off coffee since 2019, so I have nothing positive to say about coffee.
Yeah, I don't
I won't
miss it a
just for
bit.
people to drink it, but coffee was one of my major triggers for ulcerative colitis. So I eliminated coffee, my health improved tenfold.
Yeah, I don't miss the the cup of coffee in the morning. What I miss was, I didn't have it this morning. I'll probably have it in the morning, heat up the water, put a little beef broth, bone broth in and salt it down, maybe put electrolyte because it's supposed to be hot here tomorrow. That's probably what I do. And I'm down to only drinking 1 cup of that a day now.
All right. Yeah, it's going to get hot here too, and we're looking at upper 90s this week. I'll take it. I just get as much cool time as I can before the cold nights come in next month. Isabella asks, "Are you drinking a beer?" No, this is iced tea. So, no beer tonight. And let's see here. I did have a little alcohol on my Hocking Hills vacation, so that was 2 weekends ago. Okay. So Scooby the Dog says, yes, people, please do not supplement potassium. You don't need it, and it can be dangerous, and you don't eat it unless you are low like Bob, but the average people are never low in potassium. So I just wanted to correct this. I'm not low in potassium. I'm high in potassium. So that's why I can't have it. So no, I have to avoid potassium like the plague because potassium will mess me up. So, and just you have to be careful with electrolytes. So if you supplement, don't what you get in like in 1 LMNT a day is probably sufficient. In almost no situation would you ever need 2, so. All right. Here we go. There's 2 of them here, Jason and Charger. Myth or fact, carnivore will improve men's health downstairs. Charger, myth, carnivore will make you lustful and commit fornication. So these are myths. So yeah, obviously, as to improve your health downstairs, that's worded a little better. It may, yes. So it's possible if you were very malnourished and had some health problems as you become more nourished and improve your health and your other metrics, you may see improvements in that area there. This here, what Rick talks about, though, of course, is a mental disposition.
Yeah. No matter what, if you're carnivore or not, if you have lustful, that right there is just the mental part of it.
But
spiritual, mental.
You know where this springs from, though. This is actually a myth. He's actually touching on something here.
Yep.
Kellogg.
Seventh-day Adventist.
Yep. Kellogg.
Aha.
Yep. So if you remember, Kellogg.
It goes back to Ellen G. White, actually.
Yeah, and the Seventh-day Adventists. He believed that meat made you lustful and would more increase your likelihood of committing fornication or adultery or whatnot. And so he wanted people to eat less meat and more of his grain products. So, because they would help you control your desires and your body members. So that's the myth. So that's the myth that Kellogg bought into. And that's why they pushed such a plant-based agenda.
Yeah, he was taught by Ellen G. White. She was his mentor.
Mm-hmm.
She taught him all this nonsense, and so then he capitalized on it, at a sanatorium that he owned. Yeah, that's some crazy stuff. Now, when it comes to does it improve male function, there are reports out there that eating carnivore can raise your testosterone levels.
Mm-hmm. I
haven't had mine tested, so I don't know. But there is talk that it can raise your testosterone. If it raises your testosterone, would that improve your function? Possibly.
It would maybe it would increase libido if that was the problem.
Yeah.
Function came down to libido. There could be other issues in that department too, like cardiovascular damage, and other things too. So,
or bad prostates.
Right. Yeah. So there could be a number of reasons behind that, and if that's something that someone had to deal with, switching to a carnivore diet might not necessarily be the cure-all for that. There might be other things that need to be addressed. So.
Now, if you're young, carnivore will definitely help improve the health down there.
Okay, let's see here. I found that refined coconut oil sold by the local Dollar Tree stores is processed the same as seed oils. The refined is the problem. Interesting. So interesting how we are different. I'm never giving up my coffee. I consider it healthy foods, good source of magnesium, among other things. There's a lot of positive reports published about coffee. It just happens to be that I'm particularly sensitive to it. So, I don't want, just because I'm sensitive to it doesn't mean, billions of people, I'll say billions. Yeah, billions of people drink it every morning and they're fine. So I'm not going to say you can't have a cup of coffee. So it's like saying, I don't say you can't have anything, like your tolerance is going to vary from person to person. And then also, okay, is there possibly some molds in coffee? Yes. Is there some plant toxins in coffee? Yes. Okay. But, is the human body a remarkable machine that can deal with that? Yes. Provided you don't overwhelm it. So a little bit of coffee could be just fine is just fine for the majority of people. All right. Best coconut oils from the Philippines has a coconut smell. Speaking of Philippines, we had a guy on last week that was asking some good questions. We haven't seen him today.
Yeah.
Yeah. Let's see here. Mannix Gaming or something like that. Starbucks Italian. I used to be a Starbucks snob back in the day.
I
Thank
was
you
a
for clarifying,
Folgers
Bob.
man.
Yeah. 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 So my potassium's high. I'm hyperkalemic. I got rid of olmesartan and I started taking chlorothiazide to hopefully bring the potassium levels down. I'm high phosphorus. My magnesium trickles a little bit high. I don't need to take that either, but I do because it helps with my cramps anyway. I take a low dose. I take 60 milligram tablet at bedtime. That's it. And then my salt is always low, so I salt to taste. And then I'm also very acidic because of my late stage kidney disease, so I started taking sodium bicarbonate on an empty stomach and a delayed release tablet to try and bring my acid levels down in my blood. All right. Rick, I am living proof that meat does not make you lustful. Right. Rick is 43 years on a all meat diet, and he does not have a brood of children, or is he dishing out loss of child support every month? Let's see here. Oh, here's an interesting question, Bob. Do you think you would no longer be with us if it were not for Carnivore? That could be a very real possibility. I think if it wasn't for Carnivore, I would be easily on dialysis right now or have had a transplant. So I truly believe that Carnivore has halted or slowed down my kidney decline. And I mean, I had other things going on. So, because I had the ulcerative colitis, I was taking a drug for that. The drug for the ulcerative colitis is what originally killed my kidneys. I was overweight, I had aches and pains. I didn't even know if I could stick with the trade that I'm in for much longer. So I don't even know if I'd be tile setting anymore. I mean, I was in bad shape. I used to say, so I grew up in a very religious community, Rodney. Okay. And I know you're very religious yourself, so you can appreciate this. And as I got into my 40s, in my 20s, in my 30s, I did not give much thought to my mortality. Okay. My motto was, I'm going to live forever. So far, so good. Okay. And then I got into my 40s and I started to have these issues. It's like, okay, all right, my hair went gray. I was already bald at this point. My hair went gray. I suddenly needed glasses. I had to have my first root canal. I started getting these aches and these pains. I had major back pain, and then I had the ulcerative colitis, and then I found out about the kidney disease, and I just felt like all of a sudden in my 40s, I was just like, oh, I'm falling apart with every step. Another limb's falling off, and I used to go to my congregation and people would be like, how you doing? And I'm like, you know how people say, how you doing? And you're just like, fine, oh, good, thank you, and it's just like, casual fluff talk. But, someone's like, how you really doing? And I'm like, it's weird. I'm 40, whatever now. And it's like, I can feel the sin taking over my body. I can feel the sin and death invading. I feel like the Grim Reaper's just following me around everywhere I go. I don't feel good. That's the way I used to talk. And then I went on the carnivore diet and I don't talk like that anymore. I actually feel great. I feel like I've gone back to my early 30s or maybe even my late 20s as far as how I feel on the inside, my physical capabilities, all the aches and the pains and everything. Obviously, I still have glasses. I'm still bald, and I still look like I'm 50. Some days I look like I'm 60, but I don't talk like that anymore. So, like, if you ask this question, like, if you were asking me where 5 years ago, where do I think I'd be 5 years from now? Man, if this is my 40s, I'm afraid of my 50s. That's what would have been my answer. Like, this getting old sucks. That's what I would have said. But now, after 3 years on the carnivore diet, I'm 50 years old, and I'm like, I don't see myself stopping. You know, I'm ready. Bring on 55. Bring on 60. You know, I'm not worried about it. I feel great. Now all that could change. You know, but do I think that I would no longer be here? I mean, I'd still be here. I just wouldn't be happy. So that, you know, I wouldn't be in good health. So I think with carnivore, I'm in good health. So
You would be relying on modern medicine to keep you alive.
right. So the same modern medicine that put me in this position to begin with. So all right. Let's see here. Yeah, usually higher potassium is a problem with kidney disease. Yep. Yeah. No, all my issues are for the status quo. So you look great. Thank you. And are you on the transplant list, Bob, or don't you sign up until that is needed? So no, I am not. I'm not on it because I feel great. Now, I have thought about it, you know, because I sometimes I sit back and I think, you know, about the issues I'm having with blood pressure. And I'm like, you know, I could just throw in the towel. I could just put myself on the transplant list, get a kidney transplant, and go back to normal. But I don't know. I have this like fighting mentality. Like I feel like that's like throwing in the towel, throwing in the white flag too early. Like, you know, I don't know. I feel like my challenge is to beat this. I still, like I said, I'm using myself as a guinea pig. You know, no one on earth would do a carnivore diet with late stage kidney disease because it's against the recommendations. I think it's fine. So it's like I don't feel like I've exhausted all my options yet. So, and there's still time. So like I said, I'm not sick. You know, one day I'll wake up and I'll be sick and I'll be like, okay, it's time for dialysis. That's what's going to happen. It may if it continue to decline, that's what will happen. And I just feel like as long as I can avoid it, then let's avoid it. You know, that's kind of my mentality. When I get to that point that I need dialysis, I'll do dialysis. I'll do dialysis before I die. I'll get a transplant. I won't just be like, well, I give up. You know, I'm not going to do that. I got friends. I got family. You know, I got a lot to live for. So, you know.
Yeah, even if you had a transplant, you'd be far from normal because now you're on drugs the rest of your life to keep from rejecting the kidneys.
Right. Yeah. So, yeah, there's complications that come with that. So yeah. So that's the idea is like, you know, right now, again, all the medical people in my life, they're like, you don't look like anybody that's got blood numbers as bad as yours. There's people with stage 3B, stage 4, early stage 4 come in, and they look a lot worse than you. You know, they're all like fatigued, slow to respond, miserable, filing for disability. And then I come in here and on paper, I'm like already in the grave. And I'm like, yeah, I'm fine. There's nothing going on here. It literally boggles their mind. So, and then, of course, I have my theories why. So, but that's where we're at. All right, it's 11:15. And the comments have slowed down, and we're past time. We're past overtime. So I think we're going to wrap that up. It was a good discussion. You know what? We had good on-screen participation, and it was good to see. Let's see if I remember them all. We have Jeff. We had John Laspina. We had Desiree with Aunt Lillian, and we had Lewis, and we had Kurt, and we had Kelly. Is that everybody?
I believe so.
I believe so. All right. That's seven guests tonight. If I missed you, um, I'm sorry. And then the participation in the chat. It was fun. It was fun bringing up all these carnivore diet myths, and then talking down about them, busting the myths, spitting some facts, and setting the record straight with everybody today. So it was an enjoyable discussion. Thank you all, those in the chat. And we were up over 80. Oh, my goodness. Let me see if I can see a stat real quick.
And you know, that's first time that we've ever actually stayed on topic the whole show.
That's true. Yeah.
Just saying, that's how good it was.
In over a year of videos, we got one that's actually matches what the thumbnail and the title says.
And you know, we still didn't cover them all.
Oh no, yeah, we could have went on and on and on.
Maybe next week we can do pet peeves.
Yeah. Okay, it won't show me peak viewers until I end the stream, so I can't tell. I know the number I saw was 81 at one point, so that's awesome. So again, thank you all very much. Really appreciate it. If you are tuning in from Kelly's channel, or you tuned in from John's channel, or from Rumble, come over here, subscribe. That would be great. Hit the bell, hit the like button. That would be awesome. It's a pleasure to meet all of you new faces and all of you regulars in the chat. They were all saying good night. We wish you all a good night. We do love you all, and we look forward to seeing you next Monday. Take care, everybody.
Good night, Joe.
Night.